All right, architecture one, let's get to the fun stuff and draw the foundation, or the foundation, the section, foundation section. Okay, so first thing I want to start off with, we talked about a frost line. There's some things that we want to know before we get started. The frost line is right here. It's 3 inches below grade level. So that's really all I did when I started this, is I just arbitrarily drew this and said, okay, this is going to be my frost line. While I'm at it, before we start drawing, go over here and change your scale to 1.5 equals 1 foot. That way, everything you draw from this point forward is going to be on that scale. Now, this comes into play. It really doesn't make a difference on this sheet right here, but it comes into play later on when it comes to putting these things on a layout for printing, okay? And it's going to affect, as you go along, it's going to affect your text sizes and things like that as well. So we want our text sizes to be reflective of the scale that we're drawing in. So again, I drew this line. And what did I do with this line is I called this my frost line, okay? So that is my frost line. Now, I know that that is going to be 3 inches below grade level, 3 inches below the surface, or whatever level it is wherever you're designing this foundation for. Now, how do you know what that level is? Well, there are charts and things inside of the code manual that will tell you, but typically, you know, for one, you're going to learn through experience. And then two, as a brand new architect / drafter, whatever, someone's going to tell you, there's going to be an engineer on the job that's going to be in charge of things like this. And they're going to let you know what the frost line is and how deep they want the footing and all those kind of good things. Okay. But we're primarily just going off of the basic information right now. Okay. So anyway, there's our frost line, and we know this frost line is 3 inches below grade level. So I'm going to draw another line. I'm going to locate this line 3 inches up. Make it even with this line. Okay, is that 3 inches? Let me find my measuring tool. Sometimes I wonder, there it is, 3 inches, okay? Let's see, and we're gonna place this text right here, and we're gonna call this grade level. Now, as you notice, I'm not capitalizing all the letters here because these really aren't officially a part of the document. Okay, it's just me making notes of where to put stuff. Okay, so that's grade level. Now, my footing, we mentioned up here in the note that has to be 6 inches below the frost line. Okay, so I'm going to start my footing 6 inches below here. So I'm just going to grab that as a reference and come down 6 inches, okay, and then start drawing that line. And this is going to be my footing. And the footing size will be determined by a structural engineer, but we're just going to say that this one's going to be 16 inches, okay, and that is going to be something I'm going to have you jot down a little bit later so you'll understand why it is 16 inches, okay? And then the depth or the height of it's going to be 12 inches. I'm going to draw over to the side here to finish it up and just reference that piece of geometry there. There's partially a footing, but I also need what's called a keyway drawn in it right here. Keyway, that really depends. There's no real code that specifies what size that keyway is. I think there are some standards that people go by. One good standard to go by. Now I drew that one a little bit bigger, but we're just going to go by a 2-inch. So I'm going to do an offset, 2-inch. So that offset that line 2 inches. Okay, and then I'm going to find the center. Just kind of draw a through line. That's going to be a construction line just to tell me where I'm at. And actually, yeah, I'm going to keep that line for a little bit. Now I'm going to offset this line that I just placed. Select it, do an offset. I'm just going to offset it 1 inch. Or wait, no, I'll take that back. I'm going to offset it 1/2 inch. So I'm going to type in 0.5 inches. I'm going to set it off 1/2 inch in both directions. Now I'm going to get on my trim tool and just kind of trim away some unnecessary stuff. And I'm going to take this line and try to put about a 45-degree angle on it. Okay, it doesn't have to be a perfect 45-degree angle. Put it right in there. And to be honest with you, it's going to be easier if I just go ahead and get rid of this line. I'm just going to mirror this one over. That way they'll both be the same. Okay, so I'm going to click on that, click on the mirror tool, make this my axis, and here we go. So now we have a keyway. I can get rid of this, most of this line. Let's go back to the trim tool. Okay, so we got a keyway. All right, it's a little bit different than the one I did on the other image. I drew a little bit bigger keyway, but this one right here is what we need to draw for right now. And this is still a construction line. We're going to use it again in just a moment. Oh yeah, one other thing we got to trim is the top here. We got to trim that out and trim that out. So there's our footing. It is 6 inches below the frost line. Okay. Next is I am going to take this line, use this to make my walls, my stem walls, and to kind of locate those. Now my stem wall distance is one of the things I have to look at. Is I'm going to make my stem wall, I'm thinking here, okay, I'm going to make it 2 feet, all right? There really is no exact designation about how tall the stem wall should be. You know, you got to look at, you know, your crawl space underneath the house. So I think if I do it 2 feet, that's going to allow the 18 inches under the house or more. Now, of course, the 18 inches crawl space is just a minimum. So the best thing to do when as I do these walls is do an offset. I'm going to offset 2 feet. This line right here, I think. Okay, let me try that again. Click on the offset. It says 2 feet, enter. Okay, right there. So that's going to be the top of my wall. I'm going to offset this 4 inches in both directions. The most common width of a stem wall for a foundation wall is 8 inches. So that's why I'm going to offset it in both directions 4 inches to make an 8-inch stem wall. And that's pretty common, although that can vary. Okay, what I do, I typed 8 inches, didn't I? But anyway, that can vary as far as thickness, depending on the weight of the house, what the exterior of the house is made out of, and stuff like that. But right now, we're just worried about drawing one. Okay, so there's my outer portions of the stem wall. I'm just going to draw them up to that line. Now I can get rid of that line, getting rid of this line, go back and do some trimming to this line and this line. Okay, so I'm getting better, getting more stuff done here. All right, and then I'm going to cap it off just like this. And there's my stem wall. Next thing I want to do is I want to start building the floor on top of that. It's very important that we show the floor system here. Okay. And to start that off with, and I'm going to do this next thing, and then I'm going to pause the video, or I'm going to end this video and make this part 2, and then you'll come back and watch a part 3 later on. All right, so we're going to draw what we call the mud seal right up here. Mud seal is a piece of lumber laying on its side. It is 2 inches by, or wait, I take that back. It is called a 2x6. This is it right here. 2x6 pressure treated Douglas fir. Okay, Douglas fir is the type of lumber. Pressure treated means that it's been treated to withstand the weather and to prevent wood destroying insects from eating it. But anyway, it's a 2x6. It does not mean it's like 2 inches by 6 inches. That's why there is no inch unit designation on either side of the number. Okay, because it's called a 2x6. Its actual size is going to be 5.5, or actually, let's go in the same dimensional direction here. 1.5 inches by 5.5 inches. Okay, 1.5 inches by 5.5 inches. So we're going to come over here and just keeping it even with this outer wall. We're going to go up 1.5 inches, then come over 5.5 inches, and then come back down, straight down. And then we're going to put an X. X marks the spot. What that does mark is it marks that as a cut piece of lumber. Okay. So there is our piece of lumber. That is our mud seal sitting on top of the foundation wall, and our flooring system will sit on top of that. Right. So we're done with that part. Okay. Get all this done and then go back to or continue on with the next video, and we will do more stuff.